Howdy, folks. I'm kooky kaleidoscopic Ken, kidnapping knowledgeable kittens.
I'm Amber.
And here are more knowledgeable kittens for us to kidnap. And you know why? Because we're kooky. And that's what kooky people do.
Don't kidnap kittens. This is Amber's advice. Don't kidnap kittens.
And you know why? We were going to do the periodic table of elements, but then an episode that has the Barbie movie in it. So I'm like, yeah, let's get started. Alright folks, our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Being Embarrassed by My Boyfriend's Cosplay at the Movies? Yesterday evening, my boyfriend, a 27-year-old male, invited me, a 25-year-old female, to see Barbie. I'm not much into the world of Barbie, but after a long day from work, I thought that it was a nice gesture from his part. When I arrived to pick him up, I couldn't believe what I saw. He was dressed up as Ken with a pink shirt, colorful vest, and matching shorts, and yellow Vans and shoes. The first thing he said when he got into my car was to ask about how he looked. I wanted to say what I really thought, but all I could say was that he looked cute and fun. When we arrived at the theater, he and a little girl were the only ones in cosplay, but they gathered quite the crowd. I spent most of the time taking pictures of him, his new friend, and their fans. Honestly, I was embarrassed. This is a full-grown man in college, close to his 30s, cosplaying as Barbie. He's a fun person to be around, I give him that, but I couldn't shake the feeling of embarrassment from me. After the movie, he went to go out to a bar, but I flatly said no. I used the excuse of being tired. After I dropped him off to his house, I went home and just kept thinking about his costume. Today, he asked if I was embarrassed by him, and while I could have said no, I said yes. I told him that cosplays are fine and all, but I want a real man in my life, like someone who wants to go hiking, work on stuff, and get his hands dirty and be a little rough, etc. Not someone who cosplays for a movie. He got quite upset after that and just hung up. I wish he could have at least warned me about his intentions, but I felt blindsided and I couldn't respond well. I still feel like I'm in the right here, but I'm not too sure. What do you all think? By the way, the movie was terrible. Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yes, you're the jerk, OP, and you sound like a curmudgeon. Why does your boyfriend have to be quote-unquote manly? Like if you really want someone who's a burly, manly man, then I don't know, go to lumberjack meetups or something.
Well, I mean, and that's also to say that manly men don't dress up well,
that's the thing
costumes.
Is people can have all kinds of different personality traits. You can cosplay one day and then work on your car the next day. There's nothing stopping those two things. I just meant if he's not OP's idea of masculinity, then there are other people in there. You shouldn't be trying to change him.
Yeah, well, and I've also seen a picture that was going around the internet a few years back where there was this ultra buff masculine man dressed up in a pink skirt and tutu, having tea with his daughter. He did this because he loved his daughter, and it didn't matter to him how he dressed up. He wanted to do something that made her happy. And I don't think that be dressing masculine or feminine is going to take away from that.
I'm really tired of people gatekeeping adulthood, too. I love cosplay. I love dressing up. I was dressed as Barbie yesterday. And if I was going to the movies, you better believe I would be in my finest Barbie attire. Let him have his fun. It seems like a lot of the other people at the movies really adored his cosplay. Why are you, his partner, the one person who's being a jerk about it?
Yeah, well, it seems like everyone enjoyed it. It seems like it was all in good fun, and he wanted to watch the Barbie movie with you, and he wanted to spend time with you, and you kind of turned it into this bad memory and into a mean type thing, right? Honesty is good in a relationship, but also I think that maybe you should reflect on why this is embarrassing to you and why you feel this way.
Yeah.
Well, let me know what you folks think. Take care and good luck. And Keeping 100 says, hope he dumps you. Kisses. And OP replies, I doubt that he'll make that decision right now. I'm helping him pay for his college. And Neo Frog says, so you want a real man, but you also are acting like his parent and paying for his school? Lol.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with helping someone pay for their school.
And OP replies, I do this because I love him and want the best for him. That doesn't mean that I'm immature from his actions. And Puzzle-Headed One, 319 says, you're the jerk, he deserves a better girlfriend. And OP replies, what? I pay for most dates. I help him financially for his college expenses. He crashes at my place and eats from my kitchen without paying a cent. And yet, he deserves a better girlfriend just because I felt embarrassed by his choice of wardrobe. Like, what kind of girl does he deserve?
Someone who's not criticizing him. Like, I understand that you're doing a lot for him and that's nice of you, but you should also, I feel like this might be one of those situations where Opie would use these strings to try and mold him into the man she wants. And if that's the case, that's not okay.
No, I honestly think that OP has a lot of self-reflection to do. I think that they should really examine why they feel so embarrassed by this, because again, he's the one who dressed up. She didn't have to, and it's pretty commonly accepted for people to dress up and go to movies. So, I mean, I might understand her embarrassment more if he dressed up like Ken to go to like a fancy 5-star restaurant or something like that, and be like, why would you know, you're supposed to be in a suit and tie. And I'm not saying that she should or shouldn't be embarrassed by that, but I'm saying there would be a little more reason to be embarrassed at that point.
Yeah, and you can assume that people going to the Barbie movie are Barbie fans by and large, you know, and so it just seems really strange that, I mean, I know she didn't want to go to the movie anyway and just kind of went along, but like most of the people who are there because they love Barbie.
All right, folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Getting Irritated by My Husband Eating in Front of Me? I have certain religious dietary restrictions that include not eating certain things and fasting during certain religious times. My husband doesn't. When I'm required to fast, he thinks it's hilarious to go to my favorite restaurant, get my favorite dish to go, and eat it in front of me. When I tell him that he's being mean-spirited, he says that I'm doing it to myself and that I could partake if I really wanted to, and that I shouldn't get irritated with him. I try not to let it bother me, but he does this every time. I usually just leave the room, but then he's saying that I'm being too sensitive. Am I the jerk? Edit, he's religious too, just not the same kind. This also only started a few years ago. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. What he's doing is cruel, and my guess is it seems like he's trying to subtly convert OP, like, oh, look how great my religion is. I can eat the food I want whenever I want.
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to wear down her religious convictions or show her how silly she's being, and then passing it off as, oh, haha, this is some funny joke. Like, what's the punchline here? I am eating and you're not?
Yeah, haha, isn't it so funny that I don't have the same restrictions as you? And it's just a cruel thing to do to somebody. OP, you're not wrong for holding to your religious convictions. You're also not wrong for leaving the room. He doesn't want you leaving the room because then you take the fun out of his game.
Yeah, it's either some twisted thing where he enjoys watching you suffer, or he wants you to sit there and like feel compelled to, until you like reach over and grab the food out of his hands and break your fast.
Yeah, or a little bit of both, right?
Or both, yeah.
I mean, I don't think that there needs to be one reason for the way he's acting this way. And I think that, again, OP, I would seriously consider this relationship and figure out whether this is the right relationship for you or not. Sit down and talk with him and find out what his motives are. Potentially couples counseling to see if there's a better way to communicate and to have a third party mediate a conversation around these problems.
And are there other facets of your life where he puts down your religion or tries to convert you to his?
Mm-hmm. And I think those are all really important questions. I mean, and if he does put down your religious beliefs in other ways, then it could just be, like Amber said, that he's trying to convert you, or he's just trying to make you doubt your faith.
Yeah, it's either that, or it could just be a general, like, controlling partner type who, like, gets his joy out of, like, making you miserable. And, like, neither of those is good. It's very common for people for the first early part of a relationship to hide under like this charming veneer and like make you think they're all great, and then they kind of let it slip.
Yeah.
And that seems kind of like what's going on here in some form.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Extension Cup 3529 says, why did you date and then marry someone so blatantly disrespectful to you and your religion? And OP replies, it didn't start out like this. And like Amber said, it doesn't ever start out like this. And that's the trouble with people who are like, oh, you're a jerk to yourself for being in this relationship. Relationships that are abusive don't start off as abusive relationships.
And even when things start getting bad, they have plenty of like good times. And a lot of people are like, well, the good outweighs the bad. The highs are really high, the lows may be really low. And it's really hard to see this cycle of abuse that's going on.
And Homely Hobbit says, not the jerk. What he is doing is mean-spirited. He's taunting you and he's enjoying it. That's the opposite of loving behavior. I really like the author Patricia Evans. She has a list of rights in a relationship. The one that I think that most applies here is the right to goodwill from the other. Although the right to emotional support is also a good one. Also, the right to receive a sincere apology for any jokes that you find offensive, and the right to encouragement. I'd encourage you to read The Verbally Abusive Relationship by her and see what you think. Alright folks, and our last letter is titled, Am I the Jerk for Telling My Husband to Move In with His Friends? I'm a 25-year-old female, and my husband is a 26-year-old male, and we've been married for 3 years, and we have 2 boys, a 2-year-old and a 7-month-old. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I do 100% of the child care and household chores. My husband works, and then goes to the gym, and then finishes off his day by relaxing and playing video games for a few hours. I spend my day running after the kids, feeding them and him, cooking dinner, taking them to the park, bathing them, putting them to bed, and finish off my day by doing laundry and cleaning. I hardly ever get 10 minutes to myself. To top it off, I have to wake up 3 times during the night to feed our baby. He's taken a 2-week holiday from work, and instead of spending time with his family, he's gone back to his hometown to visit friends. Every night, he calls me to tell me how I've ruined his life by moving him away and how he's found a 3-bed for us to move to over there. I told him that if he loves his friends so much, why doesn't he move in with them? They could have a blast and spend all day with each other and being intimate with each other and then going to the gym together, playing video games together all night long. He got pretty mad at that and hasn't spoken to me since, telling me that I'm the jerk for saying things like that to my own husband. Am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. It sounds like you're at the end of your rope. He is not being a good partner. Like, even when someone's a stay-at-home parent, that doesn't mean they do 100% of childcare and housework. It seems like he wants to live the life of someone who's unmarried and just leave all the kids and house stuff to you, get the benefit of like a partner to take care of his house, but contribute nothing to the relationship.
Yeah, well, while I think that OP shouldn't have said things as vulgarly as they did, and I can't blame them for retaliating in the same kind that their husband attacked them. Basically, the husband is telling them that all these terrible things and putting them down and being like, it's your fault that my life is terrible. And OP was tired of it and said, well, if you don't like things how they are right now, then why don't you move back and spend that time there? And that might end up being what happens, because if he's this fundamentally unhappy, then that's not good. And I mean, everyone has needs, and everyone's going to have their own different types of needs. And if his needs are to be closer to his family and to have that kind of relationship bond with his friends, then that's understandable. But it isn't understandable to tell somebody else that they ruined your life. And that's really just unfortunate.
Well, especially when you're the one who has the comparatively easy life. Like, I understand being away from friends can be hard, but also he's doing none of the housework, none of the childcare. He gets his evenings to play video games and hang out and everything. And it just seems like OP's getting the raw deal here. And OP does mention in the comments that she's waiting until the youngest gets 2, so she gets to be 2 so she can put him in daycare, and then she's probably going to split. So
let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Creative Insanity VA says, everyone's a jerk. He needs to grow up, and you should have chosen a better person to be a father. I mean, I don't think that last point is very fair, because you never know how somebody's going to be as a parent until they're a parent.
Right. Well, and so many people, like, they will really, like, when the kid is there, it was when they really let everything drop and show their true side, because you can't do anything at that point. There's a kid. You can't just, like, someone has to take care of the kid. Someone has to take care of the house.
Yeah.
And so it traps the other partner, the one who's the primary carer.
Yeah. And OP replies, right, when are they going to invent a time machine? Go back to the day that he asked me out, and instead of saying yes, kick him in the nuts so he can't reproduce, then run away quickly.
It's a great response.
It is a pretty good response. Arrow Eagle AC says, I really don't understand people who have multiple kids with a person that shows them no respect or support. And OP replies, true. I have an IUD right now. I didn't want my son to be an only child. I mean, these people are really being overly mean to this person.
They are, and people, like, that's one of the downsides to places like Reddit, is anyone can have an opinion, and you get a lot of people who are very victim blamey and ignore the culture that pushes people to settle down and have kids.
Yeah.
And like, oh, well, nothing matters except having the kids. Like, everything else can be figured out later. So many people would be like, oh, well, it's fine if you're not ready for kids, you'll figure it out. And it's attitudes like that. Like, it's an entire culture that encourages this sort of setup. So I feel have a really hard time placing all the blame on OP.
Yeah. And Sylphie Sar says, and Reddit sees how that logic is working out for you. And OP replies, 2 kids is not much harder work than 1, in my opinion. They're both young and have similar needs right now. Easier to have 2 siblings to keep each other company than just one bored only child up your back. And Dubious Fix 9397 says, info, what's the backstory on him saying that you ruined his life by moving him away from his hometown? And OP replies, taking him away from his friends. That's all, to be honest. And Zesty Close Public 47 says, yeah, but how did you do that? And OP replies, for the first 2 years of our marriage, we lived in his hometown. His mom never even bothered with us. I was super lonely, had no friends, no family around, and kept to myself. When I got pregnant the second time, I decided that there was no way that I was going through this a second postpartum period with no support system. He was pretty much useless and redundant in all aspects of childcare, and although he made many promises to help get me to stay, I knew that he was mostly full of it. I knew that he wasn't going to change and would most likely leave me in a depressive hole like he did the first time. I found an affordable home in my hometown, and I said that you can stay if you want, it's not my problem, but I am leaving. So I left, and he not surprisingly followed. He didn't think that I would actually keep to my word, and he's been mad about it ever since. Marriage counseling was needed a long time ago. There's a lot of rent. Yeah, that divorce. Everything is wrong here.
I mean, he just sounds like a very bad partner who has zero compassion for OP.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like OP was willing to leave him and let him do his own life. Yet he followed her, and now he's blaming her. He made his own decision here. This isn't OP's fault.
Yeah, well, and who, like, lets their partner just be, like, depressed and miserable all the time and has zero... Like, it seems like all he wants to do is party with his friends all the time. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine, but don't get married.
Yeah. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got a beverage of choice right here, and Amber, she's got a joke.
Why did the tomato blush?
I can tell you exactly why the tomato blushed. It's because another tomato said, you look like a very cute tomato. And then the tomato was like, oh, thank you. And then they blushed, and then they had a couple of dates, but it was pretty horrifying for the dates.
I like the first part very much. I didn't like the rest. Because it saw the salad dressing.
Oh. Oh no.
This is a kid's book.
This is a kid's book. And I have Mega Mint. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday. I hope your week is starting off spectacularly. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please, please have it a funny quote from a movie we haven't seen about Barbie.
I don't know if this is actually a quote from the movie itself, but be anything you want to be. I mean, that's kind of Barbie's whole philosophy, right? Is you can be anything.
You know, if that quote actually shows up in the movie, remember, Amber said it first. We haven't seen it. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.